Today, I want to talk about an issue that's often overlooked in therapy and also in our everyday life, and that's the impact of emotional neglect in childhood. Now, it can be an emotionally neglectful environment that you grew up in that actually doesn't really look like that it was neglectful. It's like, functional families, you don't actually have the feeling of that you were kind of like neglected in childhood. And I guess that has it's a lot of like a varying degree of neglect, I suppose. But sometimes it happens that emotional neglect is kind of invisible, so it makes it hard for individuals to recognize its effect on their lives. Some signs and symptoms of emotional neglect in your childhood could be feelings of emptiness. You might have difficulty identifying and expressing emotions, or you have constant challenges in relationships. Sometimes adults may have low self esteem or the feeling of inadequacy, and also kind of like a strange sense of isolation. Um, So this can affect in various areas of your life, for example, in work, friendships, and romantic relationships. So it's across the board. Sometimes we might struggle setting boundaries. We might struggle to really look after ourselves in terms of self-care. And then also there might be a problem forming deep connection with others. So it's really important to develop an emotional awareness, um, and recognizing and naming those feelings is also really important. We grow up not knowing how we express our feelings because it might have not been able, or it might have not been encouraged. More, most of the time it was discouraged, really, to really name your feelings. So recognizing this is really important, the signs, and also understanding the impact. So emotional skills development is possible through mindfulness. You practice identifying your emotions and their expressions. And one technique for this is really good. It's journaling, and that can help process your feelings. So if you, for example, make it a habit to maybe every day just sort of, look at some scenarios and you sort of write down your feelings and think about them, you are going to get very good at identifying your emotions and those feelings. Um, there's also it's also a good strategy to build healthy relationships, like by improving your communication skills and also learning how to establish good boundaries in relationships. So to have supportive connections, like good friends and others or family members that you can trust, that will help to develop that as well. Um, and practicing self-compassion, for example, is really essential for your healing. Um, there are, strategies for self-care and nurturing yourself and really prioritizing yourself, and that's okay. Self-care is never selfish. So come up with strategies, and I think I've spoken about self-care as well. There's a lot of information out there, and you always have to work out what works for you, what feels right. Therapeutic approaches are definitely helpful and are very valuable because you have a professional helping you understanding and overcoming that emotional neglect that you might have experienced. And there are several methods and therapeutic methods that help with that. So I always encourage everyone to seek professional help if you feel like, you know what, it might actually be helpful for me to do that and get me started or help me along the way. So generally, what we need to do is then basically create a new narrative of our life story. So we challenge the negative beliefs that we formed in childhood, and that involves recognizing our strengths and also embracing our personal growth and the journey that we're going through. And that includes building a really strong support network, because connecting with others who might have had similar experiences, or maybe joining a support group, that always is good for a sense of community and understanding. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for listening.